Hello everyone, I'm Kristen Bomas and welcome to Speak Your Truth podcast. We are going to talk today about the voice of the people and how there are various movements happening and various hot topics out there, and they're all around people finding their voice. So we're going to look specifically at Columbine. Was Friday. They had another march out looking for school safety and gun control, really looking at mass shootings in general. We've got the Me Too movement that we've been talking about over time. And then we have here in our home in West Palm, we have two journalists who just walked out of Sinclair Broadcasting Group, which is CBS Channel 12, because they didn't believe in what was happening in their local news channel. And that's making a loud voice on behalf of people as well. Why is this important? For a number of reasons. We're also coming into May, which is Mental Health Month. And when we look at having a voice, we start to know our experience. And we're having a voice based upon our experience. Now, I know there's a lot of rhetoric and nonsense out there about the people who take advantage of these movements, and that's fine. Those people will always be out there. That's part of life and diversity, that some people just hook into their fear and they run with it. But for people who are having a voice to make a point and looking for change from something that is no longer serving them as a group, that's a different kind of voice. We can have that voice as individuals in our everyday lives, but when we unite with others with a like voice, it can be a very powerful opportunity for change and greater freedom. So Columbine was the voice of safety. Me Too is the voice of freedom and expression. And Sinclair is the voice of freedom and opinion. So when you combine them all together, there's a thread of truth. People want to feel safe and free. And so the biggest movement right now is breaking free of the aggression and the confines, the limitations that are being put upon us by some people in an authority position, we'll say. That does not sound true for the mass shootings, but with the mass shootings, we have guns available. I don't want to make this a gun talk, but we have the guns available which make the mass shootings capable. There's a lot, from my perspective, that goes into these mass shootings, but the final tool used is easily available. So that comes, again, we can look at that authority there. We all know how that works. So what is this all about in our time? What are we looking at to have a voice for? We can't blame. We don't want to blame. Well, I guess we can, but it doesn't do any good. In life, when you're talking about mastery, there is no such thing as blame. We can point fingers all we want, but that's never going to give you a solution. Blame creates a circle, and everybody's trying to get rid of a responsibility that they don't want to take. Well, forget the blame. We want to look at what we can do to solve the problem in all of these cases. So we've got all of these voices opening up, saying we don't want to feel harassed and abused. We don't want to feel unsafe in our schools. We don't want to feel like we can't trust these environments. And as newscasters and journalists, they didn't want to report on something they weren't safe with. Weren't comfortable with. And what's even more important about the journalists and their opinions is we listen to our local news with a much greater openness or intimacy or trust, something along those lines, with who we're looking at, because we feel like they're our neighbors, and so we feel much more of a community with them than we do with the national broadcasting stations. So when they are not reporting community-based information, but instead something they are told to report via their structure, then that creates an absence of freedom. And so the people who are journalists and don't want to be that kind of journalist are fighting against it. And what's happening in that particular voice is they're losing their jobs. Not only are they losing their jobs, but then the mother company is coming against them to sue them and take further money away from them. That's the fear in everybody who needs to have a voice. What if I get destroyed if I open up my voice? That's why women stayed silent for thousands of years, because what if we open up our voice, right? In a school, a child is being bullied. How does she or he open up his or her voice? If we have someone who is mentally struggling and they're having suicidal, homicidal thoughts and they no longer can think clearly, how do they open up their voice? We shun them for opening up their voice. People are afraid to tell me when they're having thoughts like that because they think I'm immediately going to press the Baker Act button. Like, no, I want to know what you're thinking before it becomes a plan. So how do we as a community take all of these voices seriously, and how do we build upon them? We allow the change to occur. Change is what this life is about. Our fear of change is also what this life is about. So clearly, if you can look within yourself as an individual and find your own voice, know that what's important to you is important. It's important to be heard. It matters not that the person across from you will disagree or agree, promote your thought or not promote your thought. It matters that you hear yourself have a voice on behalf of yourself. Because oftentimes, upsetting situations grow and grow and grow because people learn not to have a voice. We can't forget, maybe we can, that we are all one. And that no matter what is erupting in this country or around this world, we are all a part of it in one way or another. It is certainly affecting each and every one of us in one way or another. So we open our voices and we open them to sing one song, one sound with infinite notes. And let's learn how in that diversity, your voice is equally as important as anyone else's. So please, pay attention to your voice. Make sure it comes from within you. And make sure you're not just speaking the words that others expect you to speak. And then, if something is going against you and you don't believe in it, and it's not a match to your integrity, have a voice. Join others who share in your voice if you need to. But find that strength, because it's from that voice and that awareness of you that you begin the healing for your emotional health. So I wish all of you an opportunity to listen to your own self, to know your own self through your own voice. And from that voice is where we begin the healing. Thank you for joining me on Speak Your Truth Radio. And know that you can join me on Facebook Live. And I also have KristenBomas.com, my website. You can ask any questions, give any opinions and thoughts that you might have on these podcasts. Obviously, you can do that right here on YouTube. So join me on my YouTube channel. And please, 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 if you like what you hear or you enjoy the dialogue, like my station, subscribe to my YouTube station, and join me on all my platforms. Thank you very much. We look forward to you joining us for the month of May, where we look at that mental health and the healing of our emotional suffering. Thank you.